Jai Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna Nama Prabhu ki Jai. Welcome all of you for the 74th session of Soulful Japa. So all along last few sessions we have been talking about this bhavana or thought feelings that has to be offered to Nama Prabhu through our background mind. Anything we do in this world, the action is always by the foreground mind and the feelings are from the background mind. And the background mind feelings are actually coming from where? From our chitta, means subconscious mind. Unless those feelings are, those thought, these bhavanas, we have used the word thought feelings. These feelings are not simply plain feelings. So with respect to our japa, the Lord is the one who is come before us. So we have to engage ourselves with the Lord. How do we engage ourselves with the Lord? Through action. What is the action that you can do in serving the sound vibration? What is the action you can do to relate with the sound personality? What we can do with the sound personality is to hear him and to joyfully hear him and to delightfully welcome him by chanting, speaking and hearing. So that is as far as the foreground mind is concerned. Background mind has to offer feelings, transcendental or absolute feelings based on absolute thought, feelings like Shraddha, faith. Example, delightfully welcoming, like that. So this is a way we relate with anybody in this material world. We have developed 16 cue cards with 16 different feelings from the background to be offered to Nama Prabhu. Mind you, even the mindful japa has a feeling. What is that feeling? The feeling of obedience to the golden commands of Srila Prabhupada, golden command and diamond commands of Prabhupada. That is the feeling. As an obedient servant, as a disciple, as a child, you follow Prabhupada's instruction. And that is a feeling there also. So there is a bhavana, even in mindful chanting, mindful japa, there is a bhavana. So there are so many different kinds of feelings. And in the early session I had told one of the most primary feelings is our own sense of ego. What do you feel about yourself? Who is relating with Nama? This bodily person is relating with Nama. This social person, Madhu Pandit Das, is relating with Nama. Madhu Pandit Das is a person whom the whole world knows about, as outside world knows about him, as this body. Is that person who is chanting? No. The chanter is the eternal servant of the Lord. So that is called Bhavan Shakti. Bhavan means we can develop different relationship ego. Just like I develop relationship ego, a man can develop relationship ego with the wife, one type, with his children another type, with his father another type, with his mother another type, with his sister another type, with his employees another type. So they are all called different relationship egos. So what is a relationship ego? Humble servant of the Lord should be the chanter's mood. So this is how do we get this? Okay, now I am just saying. How do we get this? That is where there are thoughts connected to this feeling. The thought that, Krishna is Supreme Personality Godhead, I am part and parcel of God, I am divine, I am not this material body. this each life is only a temporary journey. I am eternally, I am related to the Lord is my eternal master, etc., etc. All those thoughts, you when you think about them, contemplate. So contemplation produces feelings. These thoughts get mixed up with the respective feelings. Moment you say servant, there is a feeling, so it gets related. So that is how today we will discuss how these bhavanas are formed in a more detailed way. I already in the 72nd session I talked about it, but I was not satisfied with that presentation because I found that many questions that came expressed a lot of doubt. I want these things to be very good clarification should be there in this matter, because this is a basis for all the 16 rounds bhavana. So if you understand this, then you know how to, because this bhavana generation by contemplation is not something you can do in 30 days. Once you know this method, every time you are reading Prabhupada's book, you are creating bhavana. You're generating bhavana. So it's a lifelong exercise. Okay, leave that. For these 16 cards, I am going to create 16 modules and write essentially the basic thoughts, absolute thoughts connected with this. So that thoughts you can take, you can chew, you can contemplate, and you can convert them into thought feelings. That is the direction in which I am moving to train you in Soulful Japa. So 108th module is about training soulful Japa training module for 16 rounds. Now you have already started cue cards. You already tasted it. You're all excited about it. For mindful Japa, you have moved to Soulful Japa. You're excited about it. You are able to do some degree of Soulful Japa because you have done some contemplation over a long time, and some Krishna means you already know, etc., etc. But then it is good to know, good to train yourself with, just like somebody was telling, I'm not feeling that humility. Okay, so it takes time. So some feelings you are able to get it. Some feelings, he is my protector. Very easily for us to get that feeling. Humility, difficult to get the feeling. So, but there is a process for that. And that if that is why I have made this module as 107th module. It's a foundation for 108, module 108, 16 rounds. And module 107, 106 is 107. 107 is about thought feelings. 106 is about summary, which I am yet to touch up. That means overall everything I've talked about in Soulful Japa, that comes in 2-3 pages, I will summarize that. After that, from 105 onwards, for each of these feelings, say surrender, there will be one module. Protection, one module. Maintainer, another module. Helplessness, another module. Like that up to anchoring round. That means 16 modules I have already blocked. You can see that. And slowly I'll be filling them up. Okay. So therefore let's talk about module 107, which I spoke on, day before yesterday, not the previous one, and the previous class I talked about it. Somehow you have to catch this, how this contemplation happens. If you understand that, It's nothing. These are all I'm just trying to point out. Not that in our life we are not contemplating. We are contemplating. Our heart is full of bhavanas. Our heart is full of bhavanas naturally for so many things. But why we are not creating bhavanas for Krishna? This is a question. So you should know at least how you create these bhavanas in your mind. So, can you put up this? I'm going to read through this fast. What are thought feelings or bhavanas? Soulful Japa is chanting come hearing and tasking executed through the foreground executing mind, combined with the offering of absolute thought feelings or bhavanas through the background mind. Soul delivers action in this world through the foreground mind and feelings through the background mind. Now, absolute thought feelings. Some of the absolute thought feelings you can classify them under 5 heads. One is about the identity of the self. Who is a chanter? Bhavan Shakti. Being servant of Nama Prabhu. Isn't it a feeling when you chant being servant? Is it not a feeling? Yes, it is a bhavana. A very fundamental bhavana. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi. But humility is a starting point of good japa. Okay. When you understand you're servant of Krishna, automatic there is humility. There is nothing else beyond that for humility. Then there is a driving. There are feelings which act as a driving force for japa. Which is what? Desire, intention, purpose, which we have already discussed that. Right? This is in one word you can call serving desire. Desire, intention, purpose. All together you can say serving desire. Then knowledge about Nama Prabhu. He is the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Bhagavan. All his glories. Both his glories of his opulences and glories of his loving pastimes, Aishwarya and Madhurya. So all those things, that jnana is also a kind of a bhavana, transcendental knowledge. Then there are, knowledge about Rama Prabhu and there are, bhavana about Nama Prabhu. Then there is bhavana towards Nama Prabhu from the chanter. This is the main item, okay. What is it? Shraddha, the trust that the Nama Prabhu descends. Hristam, delightfully welcoming. Ahlada, joyfully hearing. Asha, hope and success. Asha Siddhi, successfully accumulating. Utsaha, enthusiasm. Kritajna, gratitude. Kshama, begging forgiveness. Kripa, apeksha, divine dependency, helplessness. Bhartra, maintainer, protector, provider. Sharanagati, surrender. Then the fifth kind of bhavana is from the Nama Prabhu to the chanter. Oh, something comes from Nama Prabhu to chanter, some bhavana. Yes, it is called Satrasa, Chitrasa, Anandarasa, to be received only because it is coming from him. What is Satrasa? Spiritual doing, knowing energy for japa. You remember that? Divya Chesta Shakti, how the gardener did first time he could do it, and how by simply concurrently chanting, come hearing, there is an energy that comes from the Nama. This is Satrasa. And also Satrasa in terms of real life. I am a devotee of the holy name. He maintains me, he protects me, provides me for my life and devotional service. Just to mention a few. Chitrasa, spiritual knowledge. These are all coming from the Nama Prabhu. Spiritual knowledge energy that relieves me of the material bodily concept of life and self. Sweet, Divya Jnana of existence. Divya Jnana of glories of the Lord. I mean, you get filled with realization and glories of the Lord. All the Bhagavatam, everything, that revelation of the wonderful qualities of the Lord. Then there is Anandarasa. Anandarasa means loving reciprocation. Of flow of mercy both during japa. Whenever you get, there is a reciprocation, that is called Anandarasa. You are offering preeti to the Lord. Lord, out of his priti, offers us Sat Rasa, Chit Rasa. He offers us, not only during japa, whole day he is part of our life. If you are chanting 16 rounds, you are servant of Nama Prabhu, whole day Nama Prabhu is guiding you, protecting you, reciprocating. All this you will start seeing in your life. You are a devotee of Nama Prabhu. You are the devotee of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The sound incarnation of the Lord. Now, these bhavanas, this is just information, this bhavana. But how do we culture this? So we don't use, let's not use the word generate these bhavanas. Bhavanas are cultivated, cultured. They are cultured and cultivated during off japa time work, not to be applied during japa. This is very important. You cannot apply this during japa, because now you hear what I am saying, how from the thought it becomes a feeling. That's something that you have to do not during japa. During japa, you have to ready-made offer the feeling. Feeling should be ready. Bhavana should be ready. So what is an absolute thought feeling? What is an absolute bhavana? Absolute bhavana is a feeling that flows from a bunch of interrelated absolute thoughts. Always there are thoughts behind. They are transformation of interrelated absolute thoughts into one thought. For instance, gratitude. So many things thoughts are connected to it, and it becomes one thought, gratitude. Being grateful, and turned into a thought feeling. What is that? Gratefulness. Next. Where do you get the chunk of absolute thoughts? We get from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. How does this transformation of thoughts to thought feeling happen? Yes, this is where it comes. Thought, because we know so many things about Krishna conscious philosophy, isn't it? Nobody in this, those who are hearing now is doubting that Krishna is not different from his name, because you have faith. But has it become a faith feeling? Has it become a thought feeling? Maybe not. And intellectually you are convinced, intellectually you have an understanding, is different from that becoming a shraddha, a deep shraddha. So that philosophical thought, that intellectual conviction that you have, it converts itself into a bhavana through contemplation. And this conversion of philosophical thoughts into bhavana, japa time is not the time to do it. Japa time, the moment you do this contemplation, your foreground mind is gone. Foreground mind is required for chanting and hearing. So this has to be purely thought feelings. So please don't mistake that to apply these things during japa. Okay. For instance, when a person is angry towards someone, behind that anger there is angry thoughts. There are angry thoughts. And that thoughts get converted to anger. Anger is a thought feeling. I'm just giving you an example. Doing conversion of thoughts into thought feelings, there are cycles of intense thinking or movement of thoughts, or why he is like that, and why did he do this to me, that thing, this is his nature, that all the movement of thoughts happen, processing in the mind. And finally those feelings of anger are generated. This thinking combined with feeling in the form of cycles of contemplation, it generates or it cultures bhavana. It's just like a food that is cooked. Raw ingredients are put together, cooked, and you get an eatable food. And in this case, the raw ingredients are thoughts from the Shastras, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, and the feelings. Feelings also you get to read. But inside you, it should become thought feeling. So once it is cooked, they are no longer original ingredients. It's a new thing. So bhavana is neither a thought nor a feeling. It is a thought feeling. Once a thought feeling is cultured, it is largely a feeling attached to just one static thought, like I told you, gratitude, etc. behind it. which also acts as a trigger to release those thought feelings. That's why we say gratitude round. Moment you have gratitude, the entire bhavana will come. Now, your bhavana of gratitude is the way you already know. But after you read my module on gratitude and systematically all the different thoughts that are connected to gratitude and those things together, then it comes the very big force, the gratitude. That one static thought represents a bunch of interrelated thoughts by a process called chunking of thoughts in our minds. Our mind is a beautiful instrument. Our background mind, with the help of the subconscious, does very fast intuitive thinking. That's why you don't see, it's not like a rational thinking. Actually, very fast thoughts and feelings are combining and coming out as feelings. It's not that thoughts are not there, but very fast intuitive processing happens. Our background mind is a fast intuitive mind supported by the subconscious mind. Till it is fully cooked, some thought processing will also remain along with preceding the feeling. Once several cycles of contemplation happens, the thought feelings become fully cooked. Thought feeling, food cooked bhavana. After that, we spontaneously act based on that bhavana without indulging in thinking process. If you are not developed it into a bhavana, if I tell you you should be grateful, then first I have to tell you why all you should be grateful. Then you have to think all that, yes. Because of all these reasons, I should be grateful. You are not developed bhavana. You develop bhavana, you don't need reason. Just you feel grateful. So japa time is not the time to culture bhavana. Japa time is a time to offer bhavana. Bhavagrahi Janardana. Krishna says, I eat bhavana. I consume bhavana. Bhakti bhavana. Nama Prabhu wants bhakti bhavana. Your mindful japa itself is obedience to Srila Prabhupada itself is a bhakti bhavana that is consumed by Janardana, that is consumed by Hare Krishna, Nama Prabhu. So this is important to understand that bhavana means, or thought feeling means, it's a loaded feeling, meaning loaded feeling, without needing to think. So try to get a hang of what I'm trying to say with your own real life examples. Bhavana, because we all have bhavanas. Next. With respect to Krishna conscious thought flow in our mind, repeatedly, contemplative mood regularly over long periods, over time it gets converted into thought feelings. It's not that today I sit now gratitude. I sit one day I think, okay, for some time you will feel grateful. But unless over the long time, you today, tomorrow, or long time, then it becomes nature. These feelings and thoughts, they seamlessly get pasted together. Thought and feelings, they cook together, they become one, bhakti bhavana. Next. In bhavana, the feelings come first in the background mind, loaded with one static thought, representing a bunch of thoughts without verbalizing the thoughts. You don't verbalize the thoughts. When you feel grateful, it is a language of the heart. Your mind speaks in the language of thought, feelings, or bhavana. When you are in relationship with somebody, external talk is only an expression of manobhavana. Right? Actually, people, when they talk to each other, genuinely, not business talks, genuinely when they talk, they're all exchanging manobhavana. Okay? Language is only an expression. We have already explained that faith is a thought feeling. Now let's see different kinds of thought feeling. Faith is a thought feeling coming under truth feelings. Oh, this is true. Isn't it a feeling? That's called faith. Purpose, desire, intention are thought feelings that come under drive feeling. That is what drives you to japa. Intention for attention connection, intention for attention embrace, desire to please each nama, purpose to feel completeness of Satchidananda by association with the Lord. So these are if you didn't have any intention, desire, purpose, nobody would chant. Whatever it is. Spiritual, either you have to have spiritual or material. Simply somebody told you a chant, you chant. No purpose, no desire, no intention. Very low quality japa it will be. So they are feelings, they are bhavana that drives the japa. If purpose, desire, intention of japa is like skeleton that drives, then delight, joy and success are the flesh that adds on to the driving spirit of japa. You have a very strong purpose, desire and intent for japa. Over and above that, you're delightful about chanting, you're joyful about hearing, and you're enthusiastic about success, bead after bead after bead. So this is also one bhavana. Then there are the interpersonal things: humility, forgiveness, dependence, respect, love, gratitude, surrender, etc. They're interpersonal bhavana. Please note that all the thought feelings must be directed towards the currently manifesting Nama Prabhu. This is very important. Not that in the foreground mind you are continuously simply going on chanting and hearing, and somewhere in the background mind you are simply feeling. Simply feel. Your feeling should be towards whom? The person who is right before you. Not that they standalone feelings when your foreground mind is engaged in mindful japa. Focus is Nama Prabhu for both the foreground executing mind and background feeling mind. We have already established the role of foreground mind in the practice of mindful japa and how to train to improve the quality of japa. Now, what are these training sessions? These training sessions are now designed, one, it is to culture the thought feelings or bhakti bhavanas by repeated cycles of contemplation consisting of reading or hearing, feeling about it, memorizing those thought feelings and storing them in the subconscious mind. This particular 4 aspects of contemplation I will explain to you. This is a very key thing. That's why today I wanted to repeat that. We'll come to that. Then what do we do in this training session? One is prepare the culture the bhakti bhavana. Then next is to trigger these bhakti bhavanas for each round, beginning of each round, to trigger them. And you can trigger them only if they are already fully cooked into the background mind. You can trigger them without thinking about it. And even when they are in the background mind, you won't think, but you will feel. Then, to offer these thought feelings without indulging the foreground mind in thought processing. Next. The bhavana means feeling with one key static thought associated with it, manifesting in our background. Just like surrender, there's a key thought. And that surrender could mean so many things. That surrender key thought is a compound thought of many, many thoughts. Who is Krishna? Who is me? Everything, all those things. That will come in the module which I am describing. When you read that, then your weight on that bhavana of surrender will increase. It will become a heavy bhavana. Now, generally, surrender. When you read that bhavana, then that real bhavana of surrender will come. Then, so the ensuing training session to be explained in module 108 presumes that you have practiced 30 days of mindful japa of concurrent chanting come hearing. Otherwise, go to module 44 to begin mindful japa. Okay. Now we are talking about contemplation. See, unless you are convinced about something, you cannot contemplate. Contemplation is not meant for creating conviction in something. So before even we contemplate on the bhavanas, we first have to have intellectual conviction. Before you feel Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, first you have to have intellectual conviction. And then that intellectual conviction is a seed which you take and contemplate and convert it into a thought feeling. So don't forget that contemplation is not for convincing yourself of something. For getting convinced, you have to engage in thinking and reasoning. Next. Now, for instance, if you desire to feel merciful nature of Nama Avatara, you are convinced that Nama Avatara is merciful. You are convinced. First time you heard about then it sets you into thinking about as to how he is merciful with all reasons for that conclusion. As a result of hearing so many different merciful acts of Krishna, you are convinced that, okay, Krishna is merciful. It is after this stage that the contemplation begins on the merciful nature. Is it not? If sufficiently contemplated, these basic intellectual conviction, if it is contemplated, then when you hear his name, Krishna, that quality of merciful nature should rise up in the background from our subconscious mind. If it does not happen, then your conviction is still in the intellectual plane, needs reasoning of thoughts to feel his merciful nature. Is it not? As I said, I had to explain why you have to explain to your mind each time why he is merciful and then feel merciful. By then your foreground mind is gone into contemplation, thinking. You have stopped hearing. The feelings connected to thoughts are still separate from the thought if your contemplation is not complete. Each time to generate the thought feeling of mercy, you have to think first and then bring that feeling. You see, this is raw thought feeling means, or uncooked thought feeling means, every time you have to do the thinking and then the feeling will come. Okay, next. So thought has to move, and this is very important. The thought has to move from your head, foreground mind, then mix with the feeling of that thought in the heart, background mind, to become a bhavana or a thought feeling which goes into your subconscious mind, which is a deeper heart. It is only by contemplation upon the already convinced thoughts that you can transform that thought into a bhavana. Bhavanas are not imaginary feelings. They are cultured from seed of absolute thoughts originating from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So we are not creating any artificial feelings. Please remember that. This is not some manufacture of feelings. It is a culturing of an absolute conviction, a thought into a feeling. Now I will explain what is this contemplation. This is very important for you to understand. This particular thing, next few seconds, you please be here attentively. Contemplation means repeating. Repeating what? Repeating. Remember, reflect, feel, memorize. I will explain to you. Again, repeat. Remember, reflect, feel, memorize. Then again, remember, reflect, feel, memorize. Now I will explain what it is. Let's say first you read something and you hear about that absolute thought that you are already convinced about. Say Krishna is not different from his name, or Krishna descends on my tongue. You read about it. Then you should feel that thought in your heart. And that will generate a first version of bhavana. When you convert that thought into a bhavana, a first stage, semi-cooked, it is still semi-cooked, but something gets cooked with the feeling. Some bhavana generates when you hear that, oh, Krishna is on my tongue, some bhavana level. You memorize that bhavana as an experience. You don't have to consciously do it. These things are, this memorization happens automatically. Everything that we feel is memorized by the subconscious mind. Then in the next cycle, again you remember, bring back whatever extent you have got that bhavana, semi-cooked. First, completely raw. What is that? Thought and feelings. They're raw ingredients. Then in the first stage, in the heart, you cook it with the feeling. Then it goes. Next time when you hear about it, that little bhavana comes. So remember, again reflect, again feel. Feel that. Feel that Krishna is on my tongue. And generate the next version of thought feeling. You will get an increased feeling. And memorize that experientially as a second version of the thought feeling. Then slowly you are cooking little by little. Repeating the cycle of remembering, reflecting, feeling, memorizing again and again is like cooking two ingredients, namely thoughts and feelings, to merge them into one thought, feeling, or bhakti bhavana, cycle after cycle. First version will be semi cooked, then second version will be a little more cooked, third version will be more cooked, and so on till it is fully cooked. This cooking happens slowly over a period of time. By the way, it doesn't happen in one sitting. Cooking is completed only by spending, you have to spend sufficient time in contemplation and number of cycles of this repetition of remembering, reflecting, feeling, memorizing the absolute thoughts. Unless it is fully cooked, there will be a tendency to do contemplation activity during japa, which requires again foreground mind, and it disturbs. Disturb means it from your mindful japa. I'll tell you, this contemplative japa also is not offensive. It has its place, I will tell you. Note the purpose of contemplation is not for generating conviction. Contemplation cannot develop conviction, but it can deepen the conviction and transform the thoughts into bhavanas. Contemplation is a mechanism by which we can weld together thoughts and feelings into one thing called thought feeling. Next. Let us say suddenly you came across your old school friend. Immediately so many bhavanas or thought feelings rise up from the subconscious mind automatically upon meeting him. But who put all those in your subconscious mind? You have done the auto-experiential memorizing in the past over a period of association with him, wherein the thoughts about him and feelings about him have turned into a friendship bhavana. Subconscious mind stores memories of our experience called experiential memories. Similarly, if you have contemplated sufficiently the modules 90 to 108, which I have not yet written, the thought feelings will get triggered mala by mala and connect with every bead of japa. Because the one who is receiving the service, Sevya, is the each Hare Krishna that you chant. He is the one who receives the bhavana that is offered. Now, what happens once bhavana is ready during japa? What is that bhavana? How does it manifest during japa? Let's say you have completely cooked bhavana. How does it manifest? Passive remembrance and reflection of bhavanas during japa. Ideally, there is only one static thought associated with each thought feeling during japa, like gratitude, forgiveness, faith, etc., as given in the cue cards below. If during japa there is passive remembrance and reflection of that static thought feeling, and not isolated thoughts in the background without feelings, but each of them are directed towards each nama that is manifest, then that is perfect. In other words, sum and substance is this bhavana should come as an experiential remembrance. Means is already there, that feeling should come as a remembrance. And then you will feel that when it comes as a when you remember the feeling of being grateful, there is a reflection. Reflection means not thinking. There's a feeling reflection. Okay, then, so processing of thought alone without the feeling is philosophizing, and it will require foreground mind. So that means that is one of the different kinds of mindless japa. I have included philosophizing japa. You're doing auto japa, but your mind is philosophizing. You're not thinking of anything else, but you're philosophizing about Krishna, including Krishna is Krishna's name himself. But you're not hearing him. And that will distract you from concurrent chanting, come hearing. It's a subtle point being made here. Don't philosophize during japa in the name of background feelings. Japa is a time to drink the transcendental beverage of holy name. Read once again till you grasp this point to avoid contemplation during japa with the background mind. with the foreground mind. Next. Passive remembrance and reflection or continuous remembrance of bhavana should happen during japa. But if there is contemplation during japa, then you will be forced to come out of mindful japa. Remember, contemplation is an off japa work. If you do it during the japa, then you will fall out of the fire of Satchidananda. If the remembrance of the static bhavana happens directed towards each nama, and it is a bhavana and it is not a thought alone, it will not take you out of the fire. Because passive remembrance and reflection of thought feelings is done by the background mind. Passive reflection of thought feelings does not require foreground mind. Next. So we don't want to come out of the fire of Satchidananda, correct? In the name of offering Sadbhavana Japa, we don't want to come out of the fire itself. Soulful Japa means Sadbhavana Japa. Absolute bhavanas. Apart from cue cards as triggers, if your foreground mind tends to process the thoughts connected to bhavana, then don't try to trigger the feeling, but carry on with your plain concurrent chanting, come hearing. Then for that particular bhavana, which is not fully cooked, you should do more homework of contemplation, consisting of remembering, reflecting, feeling, memorizing. After sufficient cooking of these thoughts with the fire of feelings, a day will come when you can load this bhavana in the background mind in the form of passive reflection without indulging the foreground mind for processing the thoughts. If you contemplate during japa, you will be forced to drag your foreground mind away from concurrent chanting and hearing. We should see that japa time is the time to eat the cooked food and not the time for cooking the food. For all the 16 bhavanas that have been given for each mala, some of them you already well cooked for years of practicing Krishna consciousness. Then you engage them while doing homework for the yet to be cooked feelings. So you don't have to overnight start from day one all 16 malas of 16 bhavanas. At least till I write those modules. Till then, what bhavana you have already cooked bhavana on many aspects, just like protection, surrender. We all have a bhavana of some sort of surrender. That's why we have come to Krishna consciousness, protection, all those things you have. Preeti. So now, very important point I'm going to speak now. Please note that it is not an offense to Nama Prabhu if you indulge in contemplation of bhavana connected to Nama Prabhu during japa. It is not at all bad like when the mind roams around with unconnected thinking. It is offenseless devotional service. It is also devotional service. But here we are talking of the best for soulful japa. Because japa time is for something. To directly hear and connect with the Lord. So it is not the best thing to do during japa, since you are missing out on hearing japa. Japa is the time to directly touch and serve Nama Prabhu through hearing. In short, if you do contemplation during japa, you are doing off japa work in auto japa mode. You can say it is far, far better than mindless japa, and you will be coming closer to mindful japa. Because mindful japa means foreground mind is fully engaged in concurrent chanting, come hearing. But such contemplation is definitely not offensive japa. So this should not, just because I am saying don't do this, doesn't mean if you do that it is offensive. Always. Okay, it is not wrong, but it's not the best thing. Because after all, you are thinking about Krishna, Krishna's thoughts. During japa, you are trying to convert them into thought feelings. You have converted your japa time into off japa work. You are just being very ineffective in associating with Nama Prabhu. The infinitely important VIP has come to your house. Instead of engaging with him, you tell him, please wait, I want to think about you. And that infinitely important VIP will tell you, what is wrong with you when I am before you? Why are you trying to think of me? Please engage with me and serve me. When you serve me directly like this, thinking of me is included. So this is the most, concluding. Just like in mindful japa, we had one, essential practice, golden coat and diamond coat. In the same way, this module number 107 is a ground, or it gives you the principles for culturing the bhavanas, culturing the thought feelings. So let's take some questions now. Or japa. Let's do our japa. Namo Shivadaya Krishna Vishnu Bhutale Shimti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vinda.
The process is that you chant Hare Krishna and exactly the same sound you hear.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare.
The process is that you chant Hare Krishna and exactly the same sound you hear.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare.
The process is that you chant Hare Krishna and exactly the same sound you hear.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare.
The process is that you chant Hare Krishna and exactly the same sound you hear.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare.
The process is that you chant Hare Krishna and exactly the same sound you hear.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare.
The process is that you chant Hare Krishna and exactly the same sound you hear.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram
Okay, questions? Nama, Nama Prabhu is potentially omnipotent. There is nothing that the Nama can't do. Then, why is Yogathon being conducted? We are not conducting, no. People can, their Yogathon and any thon, marathon, anything they keep conducting. Let them conduct. Why yoga when we are chanting? They are not chanting, no. You are chanting. You don't need any other yoga. The world is full of varieties. God has created varieties. God respects the free will of all the living entities. This is His Leela. You want to go to Him lovingly, go to Him, otherwise be here. This is what the Lord says. Everything I give you facility. But as you sow, so you reap. Because you are not depending on me. So you are depending on your own Shakti, Karma Shakti. So we don't need any other yoga other than chanting. Instead of doing yoga, shouldn't we focus on improving japa? We should be. The yoga that they call is something for the physical body. They don't understand real yoga. I already explained to you that people who are on the top, who are propagating yoga and all, like the Prime Minister of the country, everybody, they know that Bhakti Yoga is part of yoga. Yoga is a very broad word. Not simply Hatha Yoga, not simply asanas and all that thing. They know that. They've invited me also to be a member in that group of defining yoga for making yoga more broad than what the world thinks today as simply an exercise or a good for your breathing and muscles and all those things. So instead of doing yoga, shouldn't we focus on improving yoga? Yeah, we should improve. We should do that. But we should, improve our chanting, hearing, soulful japa, all that we should do. So I don't see the question. Sometimes you're talking about yogathon is somebody else. The whole world is so wide world. Let them do yogathon now. How is that question relevant to us? Not that they are all enlightened. Everybody is not enlightened. Only few people are fortunate enough to come to Krishna consciousness. The whole world will not accept Krishna consciousness. Forget it. Hare Krishna Prabhu, from where to read Ramayana and Mahabharata? As Srila Prabhupada has told, read only Vaishnava commentaries. Can you please suggest any book or author? Yes, in Veda base you will find Mahabharata and Ramayana by this author called Krishna Dharmadas. In our Bhaktivedanta Veda base itself you will find. Otherwise you can buy this book also. In Amazon you can get Krishna Dharmadas. Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it Yukta Vairagya principle to engage fans of a Bollywood hero who committed suicide recently to make them chant Hare Krishna 3 times for his welfare, or maybe an offense to holy name? No, let's not do all these things. If they are chanting for somebody else, you see, we don't engage in Nama. Just like you see, Prabhupada even said, that famous quote is there where Prabhupada says in 1893 there was a plague in Calcutta, in all over India, and in Calcutta especially. And then Prabhupada was a small boy, and he remembers that the whole Calcutta, all religious groups, everybody, they performed Sankirtana, and the plague subsided. But then next paragraph Prabhupada says, of course, we don't engage in using the name for holy name for such things because it is nama aparadha. The Lord knows, all such things is in His control. We may chant Hare Krishna for general peace and prosperity of the people so that they can practice Krishna consciousness, but nothing specific we will do for ask the holy name. For our own self, we don't ask. How can you ask them to chant Hare Krishna for him? Okay, next. In the advanced stage, chanter will not be able to distinctly chant and hear each name of Mahamantra due to ecstasy. How he gets Lord's reciprocation and benefits of chanting as he is skipping the words. Why will he skip the words? Either he'll stop chanting or he'll chant fully. He won't skip the words. Okay. His ecstasy is so much, he no words will come out of it. Anyway, why do you think of such advanced stage of chanter and all? Sometimes we think too many things which is not practical, immediately not useful now. You don't have to. Let me tell you what is the use of the answer of this question. This is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets that kind of ecstasy. We have not heard in the Shastras anything, that kind of an ecstasy where you are not able to utter the name also. The very advanced stage of this thing. In our ecstasy, we don't want to stop chanting. Please understand that. Because our ecstasy is in the doing, knowing taste. Divya Chesta Ruchi. That Mahabhava, that what you are talking is Mahabhava, it is something else. My chanting yesterday was so much pleasurable with few ecstatic symptoms. I had all the cues in background mind and just kept chanting continually. I enjoyed every moment. Thank you, Prabhu, for this amazing training ever inducted to you. All Srila Prabhupada's mercy. And I'm very happy to, hear that you get ecstatic symptoms in terms of, it becomes very pleasurable to do and know and want to chant more and more. Okay. And then when you offer bhavana, something comes back from the Lord also, which is very sweet to the heart. Next. Feelings like gratitude will come by contemplation and repeatedly reading modules, or it will come by actually practicing gratitude and other emotions in our day-to-day life for really a long time. Both are required. Very much, both are required. And that's what I told. Holy name is Nama Prabhu is not only involved in Chitta Rasa of giving you, enlightening you, purifying you. He is involved in Sat Rasa. He is in your real life. He is involved. So then, when you real life problems, you will see his protection. You will feel his protection during dangers. So all those things will build up. So your gratitude is not simply philosophical. Philosophical also. Why? Because God, why should he come down to me? The very fact that he has come down to me is a reality. So I feel gratitude for him. So that is also actual gratitude in day-to-day life. Day to day you are chanting. Day to day he is coming to you. Srila Prabhupada text as Bhagavad Gita and Krishna book reading is available on YouTube as audio. Could these be listened to, even though the narrator could be a karmi or a non-believer in Ritvik process? Karmi, you don't listen. If he is a devotee, whether he believes in Ritvik or not, he must be chanting Hare Krishna. If it is recorded by a devotee, you should hear. You can easily hear. Okay? Whether somebody believes in Ritvik process or whether somebody believes in Guru process, in all these things, it does not make any difference. If he has got Shraddha in Krishna, if he has got Shraddha in Prabhupada's books, especially. If he's got Shraddha in Prabhupada's books, he is Prabhupada's disciple. He may not be realizing. He must be thinking that he is grand disciple. Doesn't matter. Please understand this. These transcend. These matters of faith transcend all these externals. Can you explain the difference between passive reflection and contemplation? As you have said, contemplation should not be done during japa. See, now don't confuse yourself. If you want every definition that I have given, that you have to adopt. Then you will understand what I mean by contemplation, what I mean by reflection. Many things it could mean, right, for different people. So in our case, contemplation means it's a totality of hearing, then reflecting, then memorizing, then remembering. Cycles of this is called contemplation. Okay. Now, what is the difference between passive reflection? Now, passive reflection I have already mentioned. Passive reflection happens. Reflection means what? Same thing goes on and on. Reflect. Just you keep two mirror, right? It goes on reflecting. Same thing keeps reflecting. That means one same continuous remembrance is there. That is called reflective remembrance. Reflective remembrance. Continuous remembrance is called reflective remembrance. So that is why in the background mind, when I say passive reflection means there's no thinking, there's no activity of thinking there, but there's a constant remembrance of that feeling. Okay. So moment where you do contemplation, contemplation means what I said? I said there is a active reflection. There is a reading or hearing, active reflection, then memorizing. Sorry, there is a reading. First you read or you hear, then you reflect, active reflection, then you feel, then you memorize. This whole cycle, memorizing, then again you decide, instead of hearing, again you remember. Remember, like this it goes on, the cycle. In fact, to remove this confusion, in my new module I removed the reflection itself from the process of contemplation. I removed reflection itself. I just said feel. I replaced that with feel. Feel the thought. It is not intellectual reflection, it's feel that thought. As you have said. So anyway, you scrutiniously read what I have written according to my definition. So don't get confused about it. Basically what it is, contemplation means you are cooking the thoughts and feelings together. Finish. That's all. You can have your own definition if you want. Passive reflection means passive. Cooking is over. Cooking is over. No cooking. Cooking is an active thing. It needs foreground mind to cook. Passive reflection is ready-made and you are feeling that. Same feeling you are having. Is it necessary to sit at a place and chant? Not necessary. You can, if you can do concurrent chanting, come hearing by walking up and down the same path where there is no disturbance, then you can equally chant up and down and you can, same quality you get by sitting and chanting. Okay. The second step that you covered today mentions triggering the thought feeling. How this triggering is different from psyching the mind for feeling, as feeling I understand should naturally occur. This is what a question it is. Okay, I will explain to you. Suppose I am going to meet a very big person who has done so many things, so much good for me. Before I go, I will plan. I should express gratitude to him. I should appreciate him. I should ask him for some more favors. I should something. You will make a list and go. Is it artificial? When you go, you already planned. I should not forget all these things. Similarly, we are making list of 16 bhavana. Today I am meeting the holy name. Today I am meeting Nama Prabhu. These are all things that I have to offer to him. I have to tell him 108 times, I am grateful, I am grateful, I am grateful, I am grateful. How can it be artificial? Can you not plan to give some feelings to somebody? Those feelings are genuine. I should not forget. That is why I am reminding myself. Triggering is what? Oh, come on, after meeting him, I came out. Oh, I forgot to ask him a favor. Oh, I forgot to thank him. I went to thank him and I forgot to thank him. So what is the solution? Trigger. You'll take a list and go. Similarly, we have got a list of 16 items. They are triggering what I genuinely want to give 16 feelings to to Nama Prabhu. It is not artificial. I already planned and went ahead. I want to offer. Today, I don't want to miss gratitude round. I don't want to miss mercy round. I don't want to miss Shraddha round. So, this idea that, see, when the feeling comes, it should not be artificial. Means whenever the feeling comes, it should not be artificial. But when the feeling should come, you can plan. It's not that you have to wait, it should naturally come. Why it should naturally come? Because varieties of feelings are there. You can choose full day I will do surrender round. Today, full surrender round I will. It's your choice. Krishna takes. You're ready, you are only triggering surrender. See, from Krishna's viewpoint, oh, he's artificially giving gratitude. Will he think like that? No. Because when you give gratitude, it is not artificial. Behind it, there is absolute thoughts. Your conviction, the conviction has turned into feelings and you're genuinely being grateful. Okay, so thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Nama Prabhu ki Jai.